they were letting people from Detroit, St. Clair Shores, Hazel Park, because they have a Detroit license, they were eligible to scrap in the city of Warren. My city of Warren license does not allow me to scrap in the city of Detroit because I don't have a license in the city of Detroit. If you get caught in city of Detroit scrapping without a license, it's a $500 fine, plus they take your truck.
Please
St. Clair
conclude your
Shores,
comments.
if you're caught in the city of St. Clair Shores scrapping without a license, it's a $300 fine, and they take your truck. If something has, you know, if you call the police, I called the police one time. I seen two guys from the city of Detroit picking up the water sewer, you know, which is totally illegal in any city. You know what they told me? They didn't have time. It's not a priority. So if they're going to go ahead and steal, what's the sense in calling? If I'm going to pay the city of Warren a permit fee to scrap in the city of Warren, why is it allowed for anybody?
Thank you.
I was taking my stuff to the city of Detroit because to scrap, you know, take my, you know, but now we have 4 scrap yards in the city of Warren. The proceeds that I take in to that scrap yard helps the city of Warren with the proceeds and taxes that scrap yard pays for the city of Warren.
Right.
At that time, Warren didn't have any. So I was taking it to Detroit. Now that the city of Warren has the scrap yards, that's where I take my money. I'm putting revenue into the city, but yet now I can't get a license. And I want to know if anybody on the council can find out what the criteria is. You know, it's my, you know,
All right.
and the person that applied for a license for me, he paid $30 for his, and an extra $25 for mine, because that's what he's got paid for an extra truck. Because I was denied a license,
Mr. Hartwell,
he can't get his $25 back.
Excuse me, Mr. Hartwell, I want to remind you that there's a 3-minute time limit for audience participation, so if you want to conclude and if you want to hang around until after the meeting, I'm sure some members of council will be happy to come over and address you.
Okay.
Okay? Our next speaker is Pauline Holton.
I would like to amend my time to Karen Spranger, please.
No, if you'd like to, I can call yours at a later time, but the next one in line is John Holton.
Okay, because we wanted Karen to speak first.
Well, then if he'd like to wait till a later time, I can call him after. But I have another person after him that's entered as Ron Papandrea.
I'd like to speak. I'm John Holton.
Okay. Good evening.
Good evening. John Holden, 2392 Barclay Avenue. The smart meters that's invading our state and country is an outrage. On April 29th, I talked to DTE managers for government affairs over in Dearborn, Mr. Michael Pacheco and Tony Melton. They say that the meters on your home are perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with your electrical mechanical meters on your home. There is no reason really to replace them. They say there is no mandate on installing smart meters on your home. This is DTE's word at a meeting in Dearborn about 2 weeks ago on the 29th of April. Now I want to go ahead and address the problem of representation. We can't get anybody to go ahead and address this. I've been here 4 times now. I've talked to Steve Bida from Warren, Peter Lund, Jack Brandenburg, Jim Marlowe, Debbie Stabenow, Carl Levin, Harold Hughes, Virgil Smith from Detroit, Morris Hood, Coleman Young II, Tupac Hunter, Bert Johnson, Tom McMillan, Vicki Barnett, Lisa Brown, Philip Kavanaugh, George Darnay. All these people we have gone, addressed, either my wife or I, personally, we have talked to these people. And the one thing they have in common with you is their ignorance. They do not know about anything about smart meters. They all claim, I don't know anything. That's one thing they have in common with you. Even though we've given you DVDs, okay, you did not know anything before then. And they are representatives. DTE says there's no mandate. Our government doesn't know anything about them coming in. The smart grid is coming across the country, but the smart meters are not mandated. This is an upgrade to get more money from you. This is a business transaction from DTE to cost you more money and to possibly endanger your health and safety and possibly go ahead, harm you in your own home, invade your privacy. This has been brought to you several times, many times, and people keep ignoring the possibility that this affects every citizen in your community. And the citizens have to start holding you accountable because you're supposed to represent them and protect them. They pay your salary, okay? I can't emphasize how much it hurts to go to somebody who's supposed to go ahead, have the citizens' interest at heart, and have them sit there saying, I don't know. From the Bill Schuette, the only thing he'll address is the cost. They're not cost prohibitive. They will go ahead cost you more immediately. They don't represent the RF dangers, the cancer, the DNA damage to your children. They don't address any of that. The only thing they can go ahead is go by the money. This is our future of our families, our children. This is what we have to address. What will you do to protect the citizens of your community? I ask you. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Ron Papandrea, and for the benefit of that resident that just spoke, council took action on the smart meters on April 26th. Thank you, Mr. Papandrea.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Hi, my name is Ron Papandrea. I live at 30315 Austin Drive in Warren. I am 62 years old. I was born on Tuesday, November 9th, 1948, exactly 1 week after Harry Truman won his upset victory over Thomas Dewey. My mom is here in the third row. My dad is home watching the sports channel. As you may know, I'm a candidate for Warren City Council in District 1. My political supporters, my friends, and my mother want to know why I was fired 11 days ago from my job with the City of Warren. I thought this might be a good way to tell everyone at once. Earlier this year, a website called the Warren Forum allowed someone using the name Ronald and claiming to be Ron Papandrea to defame me. This person claimed I had lied to a bankruptcy court and swindled 2 Warren administrations. They claimed that I had been hired by Mayor Fouts because of unspecified favors I had done for the mayor. Naturally, the mayor was not happy with these allegations, and he began to view my presence as a possible problem for his administration, especially during this election year. On February 28th, 2011, Chief Assistant City Attorney Nancy Green made false allegations about me to the Personnel Director, Denise Williams. I was called to the mayor's office where Denise Williams was already there. She stated that this was a horrible situation and that she must investigate it thoroughly. I am still waiting. I don't know if she ever did any sort of investigation or ever put the result of her investigation in writing, but the Freedom of Information Act will allow me to find out. Thank you, Mark Liss, for teaching me how to FOIA. Due solely to Ms. Green's allegations, however, I was told I could no longer use my City Hall office and must use an office at the court. I decided to consult with an attorney, and after some inquiry, I was given the name of attorney Dan Bernard. Mr. Bernard filed a lawsuit on my behalf. We are now attempting to discover who owns the Warren Forum so that eventually we can discover who posted as Ronald. Before I filed my lawsuit, I asked the mayor if he had any objection. He said he did not object and in fact approved of my lawsuit. I filed the lawsuit. 1 week later, he changed his mind and he asked me to drop the lawsuit. He told me that city employee Jim Hartley had told him that former advisor to the mayor, Jeff Schroeder, was very angry.
Mr.
That
Papandrea,
Jeff,
we
yes.
refrain from using individual names.
Ma'am,
Use the department head's titles.
Ma'am, I have a right to tell the truth, and you cannot censor that.
You're
and I will
absolutely
continue to
right.
tell the truth, regardless of what you say.
I'm just concerned about you getting charged with a defamation suit yourself.
That's my problem. I'm going to tell the truth no matter what. May I proceed, please?
Yes?
He told me that city employee Jim Hartley had told him that former advisor to the mayor, Jeff Schroeder, was very angry, that Jeff was threatening to support Kathy Vogt in the mayor's race, and that Jeff was threatening to expose private information about the mayor. In addition, the mayor told me that political consultant, may I have 2 more minutes, please?
I need a motion.
Motion to grant 3 more minutes.
Motion by Ms. Vogt,
Thank you.
Support by Mr. Liss. I'll do a roll call, Ms. Vogt. Mr. Liss. Mr. Sadowski.
No.
Mr. Stevens.
Yes.
Mr. Warner.
Yes.
Mr. Green.
No.
Ms. Comartin.
Yes.
Mr. Bacamino.
Yes.
Camp, yes. Please continue. You have 3 more minutes.
In addition, the mayor told me that political consultant Joe Munum was also very angry, that Joe Munum's associate, political consultant Joe DeSano, was advising the mayor that my lawsuit was causing problems and that it should be dropped. Once again, Fouts asked me to drop the lawsuit. I refused then and I refuse now. It was clear to me that my application for a full-time assistant city attorney position was now in jeopardy, especially after I was told the mayor had hired a new attorney. Excuse me, not the mayor, the city had hired a new attorney, a position that was promised to me by the mayor. I realized I must consider new employment options. On Wednesday, April 27, I filed for Warren City Council in District 1 against the incumbent councilman, Pat Green, the councilman that just voted to cut me off here right now, Nancy Green's brother-in-law. Within 42 hours, I was fired. Mayor Fouts has a sign on his desk quoting his hero, Harry Truman. The sign reads, "The buck stops here." However, when the mayor was asked about my firing by the Macomb Daily, the newspaper reported, Mayor Fouts said he had some limited knowledge about the firing. The newspaper further quoted him as saying, "My understanding was he was pretty much out of his hours and we're hiring another assistant city attorney." This was probably the combination, but I defer to Judge Biernatt. On the walls of the mayor's office are pictures of another Fouts hero, Frank Sinatra. I guess Fouts has some limited knowledge of Frank Sinatra. After all, Fouts does it his way. But the fact is, Fouts is not Harry Truman, and he is not Frank Sinatra. He is more like Alice in Wonderland. In this election year, with the future of our city at risk, with unemployment sky high and no progress being made in developing our downtown, we cannot afford to have a mayor more concerned about hiding his age than about building our city and putting our people to work. As a consequence of all this, and for the future of the city of Warren, I am now endorsing Mary Kemp for re-election to the Warren City Council, Donna Comartin for re-election to the Warren City Council, and I endorse Kathy Vogt for the office of mayor of the city of Warren. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Sharon Schmidt. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm from Clinton Township, and my name is Sharon Schmidt, and do I sound pretty good?
Yep, I can hear you.
Good. If I get too close, tell me right away.
Okay.
Because what I have to say is very important for all of us. Life is really short, and we should have happy thoughts. And when somebody doesn't fancy us, or we have a disagreement with one another, I hope that we can have compassion and understanding and say, I've been in the hot seat, I've been there, and when we have more understanding, just because somebody's hot-headed doesn't mean we have to be hot-headed. So I just want to address that if we could just have patience with one another, and if we do blow our cork, hey, have patience and show a lot of love, but don't add fuel to the fire, and then you add to it by saying words or you